This is my testimony, my long journey through life, the many rough edges, the crooked paths, the valleys and the mountains that I've been through, I've been over, the many times when I died or could have died, but the Lord continued to give me life. It is more of a testimony that purpose will never die. That if God has a purpose and a plan, a will for your life, especially if it is an unconditional will, then that will, that purpose will never die. It is somewhere in the book of Proverbs that said, many are the plans of a man, but it is only God's purpose that will prevail. And there's a whole lot that I can say if I remember them all. But I will more speak up the more specific ones. I mean the times when I could have died, but the Lord continued to give me life. And if I should go back, I would go back to as far as 1979, close to 1980. My first encounter with death knocking at my door. I was stoned, I was attacked and stoned by some men. I did not even know what happened till long afterwards. But I was attacked by some men and I was stoned almost to death. I woke up in a car on my way to the hospital, and my face was wrapped with a towel, trying to figure out what happened. Why am I in this car with my face wrapped with a towel? Then afterwards I realized that my jawbone was broken and I was bleeding from my mouth and my nose as my lip was also burst. And there was other part of my body that was in pain and my jawbone was broken. I could have died that time, but God gave me life. They said that the toughest, the hardest bone in your body is your jawbone, and if you get if someone hit you on your jawbone and broke it, then it is so that the force of whatever they hit you with, if it broke your jawbone, then it can also kill you. But I was still alive. Broken jawbone, but was still alive. If I remember again, in 1980, I was at this place working somewhere in Jamaica, in Negril to be exact, at an hotel called Hedonism 2. And I was attacked. I won't give you the whole story, but I was attacked by a man with a machete, and that man was coming towards me to chop my head off, and I almost give up because there was nothing I could do. But then I rushed into him with my hands up, and when the machete was coming down, it bruised my neck and cut my hand. Because I rushed into him, he could not come down with as much force I was coming down with. And then my hand somehow turned the machete, and maybe the side of it touched my neck, and all I got was a bruise on my neck and a good chop on my hand. And the chop on my hand was so deep and bleeding, they did not take me to the hospital, to the emergency, because where was the hospital was very far, and so they had also take me to the nurse station at the hotel, and right there they gave me, it was 8 stitches to close the wound. I could have died, but the Lord gave me life. In 1985, I met in a motorbike accident. I was trying to escape, to get away from a car that was coming to hit me, and I went on this grass road. I think it was a grass road, not knowing that it was a hole with the grass grow up. So it was looking level like it was a road. And I fell into that deep hole, me and the bike. And some people, some women, they were nearby, they saw what happened, and they came and they took me out of the hole. And I was lying on the ground. I could not breathe. I was not breathing. I was suffocating. And I feel like I want to vomit, but nothing would come up. I felt like I want to spit, and I could not spit. And I was slowly going away. And I heard one of the women saying, "Throw some water on him, throw some water on him." And I could see and I could hear, and I saw one of the women, I don't know where they get water so quick. It was rushing towards me with the water, and just anticipating the water on me, ducking me with the water. I made a sound. I go, and then I guess it was the fright of the water on me. It caused me to start breathing again, because my lungs, both lungs were collapsed. And so they took me to the hospital, where I spent a week. And God gave me life again. I could have died. I felt myself dying, and I was giving up. But the Lord gave me life. 17th of January 1986, one night, I met in another motor vehicle accident, and I did not even know that it was an accident. I thought that I was dreaming because I found myself sitting down on the roadside with my feet twisted behind me, my left hand behind me, and I was wondering what was happening. Then I felt something dropping on my clothes, and when I looked at my clothes, it was soaked in blood. I was bleeding like crazy from my mouth and from my nose, and I saw myself dying. I was dying, and some soldiers was passing by and they saw me, and I was wearing an army jacket, so I guess they thought I was a soldier, and they stopped to assist, and my right hand couldn't move, so I was holding up my right hand to them, waving my right hand to say to them, no, don't touch me, because I was dying. I was not feeling any pain, and I wanted was to die without feeling any pain. I was saying, if they touch me, they try to move me, then I'm going to feel some pain. And so I said I want to die without feeling the pain. Anyway, the condition that I was in, they could not lift me up. So they get some cardboard and put it under me and lift me with the cardboard. And the long and short of it was, my jawbone was broken again. This time it was broken on the right and on the left. My chin bone was broken. My face was twisted. My left hand was broken. My left leg broke. My kneecap was shattered into pieces. And I remember when they took me to the hospital, I could hardly see. As a matter of fact, my vision was going. If I look at anyone, I was seeing two or three different forms. I was looking at one person, but it was like I was looking at three. And not going through all the details, I spent 3 months, 3 full months in the hospital. My face was so twisted that they was contemplating how to repair my face. I spent 9 days in the hospital before surgery because they had us to wait on a special doctor, a special orthopedist doctor to work on my face, to work on my knee, to work on my leg, and to work on my hand. I remember that said week when I was in the hospital, there was another a man came in, met in an accident with his right foot broken and some face injury, and he was right beside my bed. I was saying, wow, here comes somebody else looking like me, but not as bad, not as worst as I was. And he was beside me, and he died. He didn't make it. He died. And I spent 3 months in the hospital. And when I came out, my left foot was dead. No movement. Could not move my foot. They take me to some specialists who told me that they don't know if I will ever walk again. Anyway, I was young. I told myself that I'm not going to be a cripple. I am not going to be a cripple. And I wasn't a Christian, but Mama was a Christian. And I grew up in church. And Mama never stopped praying for me. As a matter of fact, when I was in the hospital, I was looking so terrible that Mama never come to visit me because she couldn't bear to see the sight of her son. All Mama do was stay at home. When everybody was visiting, Mama stay home and pray. I spent 3 months. Mama never visit me. Mama didn't want to look at me. She stayed home and pray. And I remember there were some people, when I came out, there were some people who saw me. They were afraid because most people thought that I died. Anyway, I told myself that I was going to be a cripple. And through prayer, my foot came back to life. A foot that the doctor said that the specialist said may take a year or more, may never come back to. I start walking again. I remember my first appointment to the orthopedic clinic. The doctors were surprised. They asked when I was discharged, and when I told them, they said, "No, that's not right. It can't be." I said, "Yes," and they went to get my file, and when they look at my file, they look at me and they say, "Mr. Stewart, let me give you this advice. Don't try to run. Don't go higher than your bed. And don't lift up anything but your spoon or your fork." That was in 1986. And I was still alive. Some other things happened to me during that time, but not that great. But in 1989, another accident. 1989. Someone was driving, some mechanic took a car from a garage. Somebody who wasn't supposed to be on the road, who was not a driver, and coming around a corner on the wrong side of the road, ran straight into my car. And when they hit me, I fell out of the car. I don't know how the door opened. I fell out of the car. And the car was coming to run me over. And somehow I was conscious enough to roll myself out of the road. And I broke 3 fingers on my right hand. So the first time it was my left hand that was broke, and then now it was my right hand. And that was another time that I could have died. But the Lord gave me life. In 1990, I was working with this company, and there was this driver. I was a supervisor, so they gave me a driver, because at that time supervisor wasn't really allowed to drive, so they would give you a driver. And that was when I was working with the US Embassy when I just started. And they gave me a driver. And this driver was a crazy driver, if I may say. restless driver. That's the word I want to use. It was a restless driver. And I remember one evening he was driving. I was in the front seat. It was a left-hand drive vehicle. And I was on the right side of the vehicle. It was a left-hand drive vehicle. And he was driving reckless. And I spoke to him 3 times. And he slowed down and then he started it again. I said, God. And I saw something was going to happen. And he was going around a corner so fast. And the vehicle got out of control. And it right up on a bank. A banking as we call it. And the vehicle overturned, and when the vehicle was overturning, it fell right on my side. It go up the banking and it rolled. When it stopped, finished rolling, it was right on my side. I remember the driver fell on me. And I was so upset I pushed him off. Didn't care if he was hurt or if he was dead. And I pushed him off me. And I didn't even know where the door was. And I felt my feet, they were okay. And I tried to make sure that my feet was okay. My foot wasn't broke. Didn't break any bone. And I pulled my 2 feet back and I kicked the windscreen out. When I got out, there were some other people in the vehicle that were scattered all about. Many other people got injured. And I don't know how it happened. Must be God. I was the only one who walked out of that vehicle without a scratch. And some people say that that's not possible. I should go to the hospital. I didn't go to no hospital. Because I was tired of hospital. That was one thing. I was tired of hospital. But I was okay. That was 1990. Anyway, I don't remember what year this was, but as time goes on, I told myself that on the 17th of January, I am not going to drive because my most terrible accident was the 17th of January. The first one was 1986, the 17th of January. So I decided that I'm not going to drive on that date. I remember I was at work and I told my superiors that it was the 7th of January, and I told my superiors that I don't feel like driving today, so I need a driver. Because after that accident with that man, then I was the one that started driving now. And I remember I told them that I do not want to drive on that date. And they insist that I drive. I said, no, I just don't want to drive on this date. Anyway, they still have me driving that day, the 7th of January. Don't remember what year it was. There was another accident. Somebody, again, coming around a corner on the wrong side of the road. And another accident. But I wasn't injured. I remember again another year, the 17th of January. This time I insist that I need a driver because I am not going to drive. And so they gave me a driver. And even though they gave me a driver that day, the 17th of January that year, there was still an accident 3 times so far. Accident, the 17th of January. And I said to myself, when something keep happening to you the same way, the same cycle, it can't be unusual. There's something about it. 3 times the 17th of January. Accident. I remember one night, this time it was a motorcycle again, a motorbike. I was riding, and the last thing I remember is I saw a dog going across the road. Next thing I remember was some people standing around me, and I was wondering what happened, and I couldn't figure what happened. And then I realized it was an accident. Break any bones, but my face was bruised. Yes, my face was bruised. My hand was bruised. I could have died because I was wearing an helmet and I got face injured. That was another time. And maybe there was some other time there that I can't remember, but I remember another time I was going to the country on a public, I was a driver, I was in a public transportation, and that vehicle met in an accident. God Almighty, accident after accident. I wasn't injured. I think all I got was maybe a cut on my finger, if I can remember. Another accident. Then in 1998, the 14th of June, one Sunday morning, I think it was. Yes, one Sunday morning, it's strange, I was a Christian. So I didn't pray often. But I got up that Sunday morning, 20 minutes after 5, and I prayed. And the reason why I remember the time, or I know the time, was that same morning after I prayed, I made a long distance call. And when you get your phone bill at that time, you get the phone bill always show the long distance call, the number that you call, and the time that you call. So it's when I got the phone bill, why I remember the time when I prayed. I was a Christian. I was living like a devil then. And so, sometime that morning, I went to pick up my son, who was just 3 years old. So I picked up my son, and then I got 2 sisters that I took to church that morning. Just let them at church and leave the church. And then I found myself dreaming. I seemed like I was dreaming that I was driving and there was a car coming my way. I was trying to get away from the car, but the car wouldn't stop. Like it was a four-way, and the car wasn't stopping. It was coming to hit me. I was dreaming. Then I woke up. And when I woke up, I found myself in the back of a car, stretched out. I was saying, what happened? And the person was driving. He heard my voice, and he looked behind and I said, "Oh, you wake up?" I said, "Yes." And I said, "What happened?" He said, "You just have an accident. Somebody break a stop sign and run into your car." Then the next thing I noticed was my right leg. God Almighty. I broke my right leg, right up in the leg. It was the left leg. No, it is the right leg. My left leg has a pin in it. From that time, from that 1986, and now I broke my right leg. God Almighty. That was another time I could have died. And thank God nothing didn't happen to my son. He was just 3 years old. Broke my right leg. Would have died. Anytime you have any form of an accident and you end up being unconscious, that is close to death. Being unconscious is close to death. Didn't have to regain consciousness. I regained consciousness. And I was alive again. I spent 4 months in the hospital. And even before I even finish this one, there was a time in my life between 1993 and 1995 when I was going through the worst stress and the worst, well, not the worst, but one of the worst stress and one of the worst depression of my life. There were times when I didn't care if I live or die. And it was at that time when I started to drink like a fish and to smoke like a chimney. And I was miserable. So I used to curse like a sailor. And I remember one night I was at home, stressed and depressed, and I didn't have any cigarette. And so I left the house sometime about after 10, going on the street to see if I could find anybody out there selling cigarettes. So while I was walking, I heard music playing. Me not there was a dance or something. Somewhere, anywhere music is playing, then there will be liquor and cigarette. And so I was walking, trying to get to the place where the cigarette was. The road was lonely. And so while I was walking, I heard someone call to me. When I looked behind me, I saw a little boy, a teenager. He was beckoning to me to stop. So I was walking slow and looking behind me, waiting for him to catch up with me to see what he want. I was looking behind me. When I turned around, I saw one man coming over a wall on the left, the next man coming over a wall onto the street on the right. One has a tall gun, a rifle. I don't know what type of rifle it was because I was so scared I didn't even look to see what it was. The other one have a shotgun, a pistol. And I don't know what the little boy have. I don't know if he have a gun. But they surrounded me. I was trying to tell these people, these men, that I got nothing. I got nothing but my keys and the money that I have to buy my cigarette. And I emptied my 4 pockets. And I was showing them that this is all I have, my keys and this money in my hand, take it. And they would not listen to me. Then one of the guy climbed over a wall and went into a yard. I was telling the other 2 to take my shoes off and bring me over the wall. So I was saying to myself, why they want to take my shoes off and to lift me over this wall into this yard? My 4 pocket is empty. My 4 pocket turn out. I have everything in my hand. What could they want? Then it meant that they are going to kill me. But they want to kill me on the street. I said, well, that is how it's going to be. Let me die. And a voice said to me, Seriously, what I say to me, I got to just lay down and die just like that. And one of them was over the wall in that yard. And then the two came to lift me to get over the wall. And I don't know. Was that I was brave? I guess it was a voice that speak to me. And the same voice that speak to me, the owner of that voice helped me to put up a fight with the two that was left in the road. And I remember I grabbed one of them. And when the other one was trying to don't know if I want to shoot with the gun or what, but it was pushing the gun at me. I keep pushing the other one in his way. So if he shoot, then the other one would get shot. Anyway, during the struggle, he kicked my foot and I still held on to that one and we both fell to the ground. At the same time there was a vehicle coming and God was on my side. It was a soldier jeep and they ran leave me and all I ended up with was a sharp pain in my side. I don't know if they hit me with the gun or what, but I ended up with pain in my side. And the soldiers, they stopped and they helped me and took me home without my shoes. That was a time when I could have died by the gun. There were some other time when I could have died by the gun, but not as serious as this one was. I won't even go into those. And so, get back to 1998, that time when I broke the other leg and I spent a little over a month in the hospital with 2 pins in my right leg, 1 pin in my left leg, and no kneecap in my left foot. So put it this way, during those journeys of life, I broke 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 jawbone, and who knows, maybe there's some other thing that I don't remember. That was up until 1998. And another time is, if I can remember, there may be some other time that I might be missing when I could have died, because there were so many times. But I remember in 2000, I was in Florida and my brother just bought a car. We were working at the said place. He just bought a car, so he already had a car, had another car, so he drove his car home, and the car that he just bought, he left it with me to drive it home. And on the way home, I stopped at a traffic light, waiting for the light to turn green. Here come a car from nowhere, ran into the car. Said, God, what is this? And when I checked the date, it was the 17th of January. 4 times on the 17th of January. Accident. Let me leave some out. I'll jump to this last one. Well, not this last one, because there were like 3 other serious ones. And I won't give you all detail, but another time in 2001, I think it was, another accident with a taximan overtaking, end up on the wrong side of the road, couldn't get back in line, ran into the front of my car, Another one. That time I didn't get much injury. It was just my left finger was slipped out or something like that. Can't even remember. Then in 2000, I can't remember. But sometime in 2016, well, there must have been some more before that. Well, let me jump to 2016. In 2016, one Sunday, I don't know how I slipped that date, but I remember it was a Sunday. I went to church. That time I was a Christian. I got saved 2001. Yes, 2001. 2016. I remember one Sunday, for some reason I was saying to myself that Sunday evening, Lord, I am grateful. Lord, I am so grateful. I don't know why I was keep saying I was so grateful. But this saying just into my mind, into my spirit, and I just keep saying, Lord, I am grateful. That Sunday evening I went to work. And I remember exactly how this happened. I was at work, and sometime after 11 in the night, I was coming from Papine, heading down Hope Road. And when I got into Ligani, the voice come back to me saying, I started speaking to myself, I was saying, when I speak to myself, I was speaking to the Lord, I was saying, Lord, I am grateful. I am so grateful. And then I said, Lord, so many times I could have died, but Lord, you gave me life. That's the last thing I remember. I said, Lord, I am grateful. So many times I could have died, but Lord, you gave me life. That was the last thing I remember. And then I start hearing some sound as if I was driving through a junkyard, through a metal field, because I was just hearing some metal sound, some knocking sound. I said, where is this sound coming from? And I was saying, where am I? I couldn't figure out where I was. And I couldn't hear what was the sound. It didn't even seem as if I was driving anymore. And then the sound stopped. And I started coming back to my senses. And I was saying, what is this? What happened? Then I found myself in the vehicle. It was a work vehicle. I found myself in the work vehicle under the steering wheel. And when I tried to figure out what happened, I saw that the vehicle was on the four wheels. On the sidewalk, on the four wheels. And I couldn't figure out what happened, and I didn't even try to open the door. I climbed through the window when I checked my feet to see if I was okay. And it seemed as if my feet were okay, so I climbed through the window. Yes, I got out of the vehicle, and when I looked at the vehicle, there wasn't any damage to the side, to the right side or the left side of the vehicle. But when I looked, the top of the vehicle was badly damaged. The top and the front of the vehicle was badly damaged. And I could not figure out what happened. There was a security guard working nearby, and he came across, and he was saying, where's the driver? Where's the driver that was driving this vehicle? I didn't answer. He said, where's the driver? He can't be alive because I saw this vehicle flip and drop on the top and flip again and drop on the wheels. This vehicle flipped 3 times before it ended up on the wheel. And he was saying he don't know why the vehicle flipped, because it was a straight road. He don't know what the vehicle touched to flip. And he was saying that maybe it was the bigger partition of the road or something, but Then some people started to gather around. Some cars stop and people gather around, and they were asking for the driver. If somebody rushed him to the hospital, where was he? And I said, as a matter of fact, a police vehicle came by and stopped. And the police was asking, where's the driver? And I was saying to him, I'm the driver. And he get upset and said, this is no time to joke. Stop joking around. Where's the driver? I said, I'm the driver. He said, stop. He said, man, look here, don't play with me. I said, I am the driver. And nobody could believe that I was a driver who was driving that vehicle and was on my feet in the midst of the crowd. There was something very strange about that accident. Remember, I said it was a work vehicle. I was on the job. This one was very strange, because normally when you have, well, not just normally, on that job, people who have accident, they either fire them or suspend them from driving. I met in such an accident where the vehicle was completely damaged. As we say in Jamaica, it was right off. And nobody asked me any question. What were you doing? How did it happen? All I did was write my report. That happened on a Sunday. On the Monday, I was at home and they called me to ask me if I am able to work the Monday night. And I went to work, and some men were saying, Soup, I don't know who your Obeah is, but I would like to know him, because this has never happened yet. Nobody has ever had an accident like yours. People have least accident and they're gone. And you have an accident last night and the vehicle is totally gone. And they call you to come to work tonight and nobody asks you any question, nobody bothering you. Then I was start thinking, I was saying, God, I don't understand you. I was saying to you that I am grateful, because so many times I could have died, but Lord, you gave me life. And just as I said it, I almost died. And the voice said to me, it was not my mind, the voice said to me, I am proving to you that you could have died, but I'm still giving you life. And I said to the men, I said, of course you need to know my Obeah. I serve a real God. I serve the true God. I could have died again. Lord gave me life. Let me give you this last one. This was last year, 2022. Sometime in May, it was May 11. I was here in Florida. Let me say this. For the first 2 years, I suffered, mostly because of COVID. Could not work, couldn't get a job, and so on. Until I eventually get a job. And that job was nothing but problem. But apart from the problems, I didn't have no transport. And I suffered in the rain. I suffered in the cold. And when it is hot, I suffered in the heat. And I remember times I was going to work and I thought, listen, there was one morning I was going to work. And believe you me, I was walking after I got off the bus, and I cried tears. When I was thinking of my situation, I cried tears. I was walking and tears was running down my face. When I look back, I say when I was in Jamaica for about 20 or over 30 years, I don't use public transport. Now I am here struggling and suffering on public transport. I start working 10 o'clock and I have to leave the house from 7:30 going to 8 o'clock to reach work 10 o'clock. And I was praying, I said, God, I need a vehicle. I need a vehicle. And the money that I was working, just start working, I could not afford to buy a vehicle. And I suffered. I suffered for nearly 1 year. Well, not it, no. For 1 year. I suffered for 1 year. And long and short of it is, in May, my wife did a knee surgery, so she wasn't able to drive. So I started driving her car to work for the first, I think 1 or 2 months before she go back to work. It got over 2 months because it was knee surgery. And I remember one morning, I left the house one Monday morning going to work. And I prayed before I go to the door. I said, Lord, this is the day that you have made. Lord, I pray that I will rejoice and I will be glad in this day. And I left the house. And I was heading down High 95 South. And I don't know what happened. All I know that something hit the vehicle on the highway and I was out of control all over the place. And when you're meeting an accident on High 95, it is serious because cars will hit you left, right, and center. There was a time when I feel like giving up because I couldn't control the vehicle until a voice said, don't give up. And I pull off on the south shoulder. Long and short is somebody ran into the vehicle, hit it in the back, trying to escape an accident. Ran in the back of my vehicle, spin it around and hit it in the front wheel again and twist it around. And the long and short of it is this. After the accident, that happened like about 2 weeks before my wife go back to work. So they took responsibility of the accident and they gave us a rental to use. Then my wife will be going back to work and I'll be going back on the bus again. I said, God, on the bus again. The people who caused the accident, who hit us, who hit the vehicle, called to say that they want to compensate me for what I've been through. They took the vehicle and put it to the shop, take full responsibility to repair the vehicle, as I said, and they gave us a rental. Called me a week before I go back to work to tell me that they want to compensate me for the accident and offer me some money. I said, okay, I will talk to you. They said that they will call back the next day. They called back the next day and add some more money to it. And I agreed. And I took the money. And the same exact money that they gave me, I used the same exact money. And I went to a car lot and drove a vehicle off the car lot. God worked in mysterious ways, wonders to perform. God has some way to answer prayers. God answer my prayer. Remember, listen, let me say this and finish. All the time, it's good not to complain to God. There was one morning I was going to work and I was complaining. And then I started to think about the children of Israel. How they complain. And God was upset with them because they continued to complain. And then I realized that God don't like complain. I come to realize that when I pray and I get no answer, when God is silent, He is up to something. Listen, there is so much more that I can say. So much more that I can say. But I will say this, that through it all, I learned to trust in Jesus. And through it all, what I was expecting, God did. The purpose that God asked for my life manifest. And it is still not yet finished with me. He has elevated me. I wasn't thinking I'd become a minister, but He has elevated me. And I believe that He has more in store for me. I want to close by saying that when God is silent, He is up to something. Maybe silent in your life, not hearing from Him, not getting any answers. But when He is silent, He is up to something. And if God have a purpose for your life, purpose will never fail. And the purpose that God has for your life will manifest, will come to pass. Nothing, absolutely nothing present, nothing that is to come, nothing that has been created, nothing that has not yet been created can stop God's purpose in your life. I could go on and on and on, and I know that I have missed out a lot, but purpose never dies.